When my boss told me my teammate deserved a promotion more than I did, after I led the project, I sacrificed my time, and I brought in millions for the company, something inside me broke. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I made a plan. And a few months later, I walked into his office, dropped my resignation on the desk, and revealed a salary offer 3 times what I was making. Let's rewind to the beginning. If you've ever worked your butt off just to be overlooked, underestimated, or flat out disrespected, hit that like button. This is one of the most satisfying workplace revenge stories you'll hear, and trust me, the ending is pure gold. Subscribe for more tales of justice served cold. Early in my career, I was just another engineer working for a big defense contractor. You know the type. Endless meetings, fluorescent lights that buzz like a trapped fly, and performance reviews that feel more like polite insults than real progress. I'd been there for about 4 years. 4 years of showing up early, staying late, and chasing those measly 2 to 4% raises that barely kept up with inflation. Every promotion required years of service and a practically saint-like level of patience. At first, I told myself this was just paying my dues. But deep down, I started realizing something terrifying. If I stayed on this path, I was going to scrape by for years. I'd be stuck in the same chair, watching other people climb the ladder while I carried their weight. So I made a move. I applied for the management track, and to my surprise, they gave me a shot. I became a project engineer, managing a small team, 4 brilliant engineers, 1 designer, and 2 admin staff. We were tasked with designing and manufacturing a system that frankly could make or break the company's standing with the Air Force. It was risky. It was intense. But I poured my heart and soul into that project. 100 days. That's how much time I spent that year away from my family, traveling to test sites, negotiating with vendors, problem-solving with customers at 2 a.m. in freezing hangars. My team and I didn't just succeed, we crushed it. First-year sales, $1.6 million. Patents secured. Finalists for the Department of Defense Technical Team of the Year. They literally flew us to Washington, D.C. for the awards ceremony. I was exhausted, but proud. I'd finally proven my worth. When performance review season came around, I wasn't nervous for once. I'd earned this. And sure enough, 10 out of 10. Top marks across the board. My manager even congratulated me on the project's success. But then, I saw the numbers. Another 3% raise. No early promotion, no bonus, nothing special. At first, I thought there was a mistake. Then I found out something that hit me like a gut punch. One of my own team members, who technically reported to a different manager, had received an early promotion to a senior position. I liked the guy personally, this wasn't his fault, but the message from management was clear. You did the work, he gets the reward. I didn't storm out, I didn't make a scene. I simply stopped giving them extra. No more late nights, no more voluntary travel, no more giving 120% to a company that gave me 3. I worked my 40 hours, and then I went home. Fridays, I took off to burn through my leave. Sick days, I actually used them. My mental health skyrocketed. But here's the delicious part. The company had an education budget that nobody really used, so while I was quietly quitting, I was also quietly upgrading. Around this time, my promoted coworker started taking MBA evening classes, fully reimbursed by the company. But those came with a catch: stay at the company for years afterwards or pay it back. Meanwhile, I discovered another budget: software training. Courses in FEA and 3D modeling, exactly the skills hot competitors were hunting for. No strings attached. So, I signed up. My coworker and I traveled to these classes together, learning side by side. But unlike him, I wasn't doing this for them. A month after we wrapped up those classes, I started quietly sending out applications. And it was like lighting a match in a dry forest. Within weeks, I got interviews, then offers. One of them made me pause and reread it 5 times just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Base pay, 200% of my current salary, plus overtime. This was it, my escape hatch. I walked into my boss's office with my resignation letter. He looked confused at first, then panicked. "Boss, we just paid for you to travel all over to learn these new skills that we need." Me: "Yeah, you did. You don't have any loyalty? Any guilt?" Me: "Loyalty works both ways." Boss: "How much are they paying you? Maybe we can match it." I tell him the number. "That's more than I make." Yeah, exactly. That was the moment it clicked for him and for me. All those years they underpaid, overlooked, and underestimated me came crashing down in one sentence. That's more than I make. I left that company without a black plants. The next year, with overtime, I made 3 times my old salary working for a direct competitor. It was life-changing. Not just financially, but emotionally. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had proof of my worth. You know, people talk about loyalty like it's a one-way street. But here's the truth. Loyalty that isn't returned is just exploitation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a dramatic showdown. It's a calculated exit. If this story made you smile, smash that like button. And tell us in the comments, have you ever gotten revenge by simply walking away? Subscribe for more real Reddit revenge stories, where karma always finds its way home.
When I walked out of that defense contractor's office for the last time, I thought that was the end of it. Turns out, my resignation wasn't just a career move, it was the first domino. Within months, everything they'd built on my back started to unravel. And the best part? I was watching from my new corner office, with a salary 3 times bigger. Let's dive into the fallout. If you love stories where karma takes its time but hits hard, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Part 2 is where everything the company tried to sweep under the rug finally catches up with them. My first day at the new company felt like stepping into a different world. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of a whole department on my shoulders for a discount salary. The team was lean, sharp, and fast-moving. My new manager actually listened. When I brought up ideas, they didn't get buried in bureaucracy. They got funded. And that paycheck, it hit different. The first time I saw the amount deposited, I actually laughed out loud in my kitchen. All this time, I was worth this? While I was thriving, word started trickling back to me from my old coworkers. The project I had led, the one that brought in $1.6 million and earned us a patent, was entering its next critical phase. And guess who wasn't there to handle the technical chaos, vendor negotiations, or travel logistics? Me. My replacement was someone they promoted internally to save costs. He was smart, but he didn't have the field experience, the relationships with the vendors, or the trust of the team. Within weeks, delays started stacking up. Small technical issues snowballed into expensive failures. Customers were getting frustrated, deadlines slipped, and morale was tanking. My former team members started reaching out to me, not to recruit me, but to vent. "They don't know what they're doing," one of the engineers messaged me. "Management is freaking out," another said. "They thought you leaving wouldn't matter. Now they're drowning." And I'd be lying if I said that didn't feel satisfying. 3 months into my new role, I got an unexpected email from my old boss. Subject line? Quick chat? I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. On the call, he was all business face at first, but then it slipped. Boss. So, how's the new place treating you? Me. Honestly, best decision I ever made. Boss. I see. Awkward pause. And then came the pitch. They wanted me to come back as a contractor. Suddenly, the same company that told me to try real hard again next year was waving a contracting opportunity in front of me because their in-house team couldn't keep up. But here's the kicker. The rate they offered me was still lower than what I was making now. I actually laughed, out loud, on the call, and then I politely declined. My boss's voice cracked just a little when he said, "We didn't realize how hard it would be to replace you." Yeah, that's the thing about loyalty. You don't notice its value until it's gone. Over the next year, I kept hearing updates. The project timeline got pushed back by almost a year. 2 key team members left for better offers, inspired by my exit. The once technical team of the year reputation crumbled under customer complaints and internal chaos. And while all that was happening, I was thriving. My new role gave me opportunities to lead, not just manage. I got to shape projects from day one, negotiate real budgets, and travel because I chose to, not because I was guilt-tripped into it. And every time I signed off on a design or closed a deal, I thought about the day my boss said that's more than I make. That was the moment everything flipped. My revenge wasn't a single dramatic explosion. It was me walking away, watching them stumble without me, and living a life they didn't think I could build without their approval. The company that once gave me a 3% raise for million-dollar results was now bleeding money trying to fix the hole I left behind. And I was earning triple, respected, and finally, free. Here's the lesson I learned. When people undervalue you, they're not setting your worth, they're revealing theirs. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting to be seen, it's walking away and letting your absence speak louder than any argument ever could. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. And tell us in the comments, have you ever left a job and watched the place fall apart without you? For more satisfying revenge stories where karma takes the scenic route, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.